Now this problem says find vector v plus w. And given these two vectors over here on the right, what we're going to do is we're just going to add these together. Now this is very strange to do this geometrically. Essentially how this works is I'm going to take this vector and kind of move it up here. And there we go. I left the original one there so you could see where it's coming from. And that's all I did. I just took this one and moved it over here. Now in order to find v plus w, we took the terminal point of the first one and we actually put the initial point of the second one right over the top of it. So they're in the same place. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to go from the initial point of the first one, which is here, and we're going to go to the terminal point of that second one. So that's how this works. So I'm just going to draw a line from here to there, and that is going to be my u plus v. So that's it. That's all we have to do for these. That's one method. I'm going to show you the other method as well. This is what we call tip to tail, because the tip of the first is the tail of the second. Another way we can look at this is using a parallelogram. So I'm going to do that one for you really quick as well. So now from the beginning, what we're going to do here is we're just going to go tail to tail. And I'm going to move this over here now. Instead of at the tip there, we're going to move it to the other side. Now take a look at what this does. Now this is the picture we get, and I left the original there as well again, just so you can remember where it's coming from. And what we're going to do from here is we're just going to create a parallelogram. So here's that parallelogram we created. Now if you take a look at what we're going to do now is we're just going to go from the diagonals here, here to here. So it actually gives us the same picture, or the same, I should say, vector both ways. So again, here's my v plus w here. So that's how we add our vectors. So we can either use a parallelogram like we did in this case, or honestly, if we just took all of these away, we would have the tip to tail method. So either one gives us exactly the same vector. I can either draw that parallelogram, or I can just use the tip to tail. So there it is. So now looking at part B here, looking for v minus w, the way I look at this is really v plus a negative w. And we kind of talked about this a little bit on the last video, where that just kind of changes my direction. So that's dealing with my w now. It's making it a negative. So that gives us this vector here. So now what we're going to do with this vector here is we're going to just use the parallelogram method. Now again, you could use either one you choose, whichever one you're comfortable with. It doesn't matter, but for me, I'm just more comfortable with that one. So either one is fine. So now I'm going to take this vector here and now move it here where I have tail to tail. So this piece right here is going to go here. And we get this setup here. Now we're just going to create our parallelogram. And then from there, we're just going to go from the tails of both of our vectors, and we're just going to go up to there. So that vector there is going to be our v minus w. So now let's get a little more fancy with all of this now. Let's do a number c. And with the number c, let's go with 1/2 v plus w. And let's see what we get from this. That means with my v, I'm only going to take half of it. So that means I'm going to have this point here, and I'm going to take it up to there. And that's going to be my new vector now. That vector there is going to be my half of v. And then I'm just going to use the same method I use for any of the other ones, either the parallelogram or the tip to tail. So now moving that W up to the 1/2 V here, I get this here, and all I'm going to do is create my parallelogram again. So then my new vector is going to be this one here. So this vector here is going to be my 1/2 V plus W. Now remember, for these answers, for any one of these, I'm going to get pictures as my answers. I'm not going to get like some ordered pair or something like that. It's always going to be set up in a graphical form using this method.